I traveled through time and space and became the ex-husband of the big boss in the CEO novel. Thinking of my original wife's tragic end, I quickly signed my name on the divorce agreement. The female CEO's face darkened instantly. James, have you thought it through? My heart skipped a beat and I quickly covered my wallet. Are you kidding me? I won't give you a penny of the breakup fee. The story is about to begin. If you like it, remember to like and subscribe. After lying in bed for 3 days, I finally accepted the reality of time travel. I, James, an ordinary male college student, was reborn as the vicious male supporting role in a melodramatic CEO novel. I am the CEO's ex-husband, and I am arrogant and domineering because my family is rich and powerful. At the university opening ceremony, I fell in love with the heroine, Sophia, at first sight. From then on, I pursued her relentlessly and used all means to force her to marry me. Sophia, a typical campus heroine, is beautiful and outstanding, but comes from a poor family. Her father is deaf-mute and her mother suffers from uremia. In order to raise medical expenses for her mother, she finally compromised and married me. After 5 years of marriage, Sophia grew from an unknown clerk to a rising star in the business world. Our relationship also deteriorated. Sophia gradually slipped out of my control, but I was unaware of it and was still bold enough to push her first love down the stairs and break his leg. Sophia could no longer bear it and filed for divorce. That's when I got into the car accident. Sophia came to see me on the 3rd day and threw the divorce agreement at me. James, have you had enough? The woman's voice was cold, and her eyes were filled with impatience and disgust. But even so, the moment I saw her face clearly, my heart still skipped a beat. No wonder the original owner was so crazy. This face is really beautiful. Then I glanced at the divorce agreement and saw the amount of property I would get. My heart suddenly stopped. Fuck, I was rich. The original owner's family was rich, but he was arrogant and spoiled, and he had a younger brother who was better than him in every way, so he had no chance to inherit the company. However, Sophia had become a successful entrepreneur in just a few years, and her assets were already considerable. If they divorced, the breakup fee would be very shocking. I have done good deeds all my life, so I deserve to become rich overnight. After calculating the amount of money I could get, I suppressed my excitement, lowered my head and remained silent for a long time, for fear that a smile on my face would be noticed by Sophia. Then, I took a deep breath and said, okay, I agree to a divorce. Sophia was stunned, probably because she didn't expect me to agree so readily. But the opportunity was rare, and before she could come to her senses, I quickly signed my name on the divorce agreement. Sophia seemed to sense something was wrong and frowned. You. I turned my head away, feeling hopeless, and said, I've thought it through, Sophia. Let's let each other go. There was silence behind me for a while, until I was about to lie down in bed and count my savings again. I realized that Sophia was looking at the divorce agreement silently, without moving. I asked curiously, aren't you leaving yet? Sophia looked up, and I gently reminded her, Ye's injury hasn't healed yet? Why don't you go check it out? Sophia's face suddenly turned cold, and I felt a little uneasy. Could this woman regret giving me so much money? But my name had already been signed, and she couldn't deny it. What's more, since I was so tolerant and generous now, she should give me money. Sophia had a first love when she was in college, David. Unlike the arrogant young master, David was gentle, sensible, and motivated. He was from a single-parent family, and his family conditions were not good since he was a child, but he was very hardworking and excellent in all aspects. To some extent, he and Sophia were the same type of people. Only he could understand Sophia and was her soulmate. If it weren't for me, the two of them would have been together naturally, and then they would have worked hard together in this city after graduating from college and created a happy family of their own. All of this was ruined by me. In the original story, James was madly jealous of David, making things difficult for him, always finding fault with him, and even going crazy and hitting him. From then on, Sophia completely despised James and broke up with him. If you think about it, you will know how miserable the fate of a vicious male supporting role like me will be if I offend the male and female protagonists. So now is the time to take the money and run away. Sophia finally slammed the door and left. I patted my chest and pouted secretly. Sophia's breasts are not big, but her temper is quite bad. But when I thought about the property I could get, I became happy again. This kind of good thing of falling money from the sky is not something that everyone can get. Just as I was thinking about it, I suddenly received a WeChat message on my phone from Olivia. I heard that Sophia finally decided to come to see you today. There was a lot of sarcasm in her words. This is James' childhood sweetheart, a spoiled and willful young lady who is good at eating, drinking, and having fun. She looks down on Sophia, and Sophia looks down on her, too. The two are very hostile. Especially after Sophia and I got married, our two families had more exchanges. Her father used Sophia to belittle her more than once, which made Olivia even more annoyed with Sophia. Olivia scolded me for being love-brained and asked me to go to her vegetable garden to dig wild vegetables all day long. This time, it was obvious that she was here to laugh at me again. But do I care? Just kidding, I'm too busy making fortunes to be sad. Yeah. I thought about it and took a photo of the divorce agreement and sent it over. From today on, I'm single. Please treat me to a meal. Olivia called directly and asked, "Are you crazy?" TSK, that's really harsh. However, I still responded happily, "I will go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to stamp my certificate when I am discharged from the hospital." Fortunately, my car accident was not serious. I just hit my head and had a slight concussion. Don't you have any expression? Olivia was silent for a moment, then suddenly smiled. "Okay, then Mr. James, what do you want to express?" I heard Olivia opened a new bar. A week later, I changed into an expensive suit and was discharged from the hospital in style. Olivia crossed her arms and laughed, "You're dressed like a real person in the hospital." Are you crazy? I clicked my tongue. What do you know? Today is a good day. Olivia didn't bother to pay attention and turned to walk out. Unexpectedly, I ran into Sophia head-on. Sophia's gaze stayed on her for a moment, her eyes cold. "You're here." I walked over and smiled at her. "Where's the car?" Sophia's expression eased slightly, and then she said, "Parking lot, let's go." Olivia was not happy with it. She tilted her head and squinted her beautiful eyes at me, and asked in confusion, "James, you don't want to take my car?" I waved my hand and said, "Hey, I have to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Sophia to get a divorce certificate first. It's more convenient to take her car." As I said that, I urged Sophia, whose body suddenly froze, "What are you standing there for? Let's go." Olivia burst out laughing, and then said, "Yes, this is an important matter, don't delay." Sophia twitched her lips sarcastically. "James, are you so eager to cut ties with me? Didn't you propose the divorce? Why are you being so sarcastic?" I said honestly, "I have other plans tonight. I just want to settle it early so as not to waste your time. Sophia has been very busy and she only comes home a few times on weekdays. I know she doesn't want to see me, and I don't want to continue to entangle with her. It's great for us to go home and be free." Sophia turned away with a stern face. There weren't many people at the Civil Affairs Bureau, and it wasn't long before Sophia and I got in line. When Sophia was about to go in, her phone suddenly rang. I glanced at it and saw it was David. Sophia walked over to the side and answered the call. I could vaguely hear her gentle and soft voice. "Yeah, she's still outside. Something's going on." She had never spoken to James in such a tone. This marriage was forced from the beginning. For 5 years, the two of them were at loggerheads. It was difficult for them to even have a good meal together, let alone show such gentle concern. The staff urged twice, "Are you still going to do it?" I shook my head, feeling a little sorry for the original owner. In Sophia's heart, he really had no status at all. "Sophia." I called out to her, "Just do my job first, okay? Sophia has always put David first. James has argued with her, but she was indifferent. The original owner was also a fool, she actually thought she could beat David. Wasn't she asking for trouble? Sophia is the same. If she follows me this time, wouldn't she be able to be with her first love openly earlier?" Sophia was stunned for a moment, and then she said to the other end of the phone, "Let Dr. Mark take a look at you first. I'll be there soon." 20 minutes later, I held the freshly issued divorce certificate, tears welling up in my eyes. It's in my hands. I got my huge breakup fee. From today on, I will travel, drink, eat, have fun, and be a happy person. I said to Sophia sincerely, "Sophia, thank you, goodbye." I added silently in my heart, "Thank you for the money, and goodbye." I walked out and saw Olivia. This woman drove a very bright red Ferrari, which was very eye-catching and hard to miss. I walked over happily and said proudly, "I have money now, I want to spend it." Sophia's somewhat stagnant voice suddenly came from behind, "James." I turned around quickly and asked in confusion, "Anything else?" Sophia pursed her red lips, and it was hard to tell her emotion for a moment. If it was the original owner, seeing her obviously upset, she would definitely ask questions. But I was too lazy to pretend, so I said perfunctorily, "If you have nothing else, I'll leave first." I quickened my pace. For a cannon fodder like me, the key to happiness is to get away from the male and female protagonists as soon as possible. When I got in Olivia's car and left, I only glanced at the rearview mirror. Sophia stood there, surrounded by people coming and going, and felt inexplicably lonely. Oh, now that I'm no longer a troublemaker, I'm finally free. Olivia glanced at me and asked mischievously, "Can't bear to part with it?" I responded excitedly, "Are all the beautiful girls in your store reserved for me?" Olivia was speechless. "I really worried about you for nothing. I thought you loved her so much before, but now you look so happy after the divorce." "Ah, is it so obvious?" I flipped down the passenger side mirror and took a closer look. James is 28 years old now. Although he has grown 10 years older, he still has a handsome face, and most importantly, he is rich. I thought about it and gave an explanation. If she doesn't love me, then I might as well not love her. At the red light, Olivia turned her head and looked at me for a long time. It was not until I felt Harry all over that she said in an ambiguous tone, "You seem to have become a different person after this car accident." My heart skipped a beat. I stayed quiet for a while, shrugged, and responded, "I think people who have experienced life and death will let go of many things." Olivia was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "That's true. Okay, I'll pay for your consumption tonight." 2 hours later, Olivia regretted it. She asked with a dark face, "Haven't you ordered enough?" She was not talking about the wine, but the model in the store. Oh no, it should be said sister. I raised my glass to her and said loudly, "Come on, have a drink with your brother." Olivia was helpless. I patted her shoulder, pointed at the beautiful girls in a circle, and said with a smile, "Look, all the girls are sweet-mouthed and beautiful. Which one is not better than my ex-wife? The original owner is the same. There are so many beauties in the world. He is rich and beautiful. Why does he have to hang himself on that tree? People are most afraid of getting stuck in a dead end." Olivia sneered, "Finally, you're not blind anymore." A slim sister came over to help me pour the wine and said very obediently, "Brother, try this." Okay. I was just about to take it happily, but Olivia snatched it away and said angrily, "Don't mix them. You just got out of the hospital, and I don't want to wait to call an ambulance for you." As she said that, she glanced at the girl, and the girl's face turned pale instantly. She quickly bowed her head and apologized, "I'm sorry, brother, I didn't know you." I waved my hand generously and said, it's okay. Brother is happy today." Then I smiled and looked at Olivia, teasing, "You are really something. Only the state officials are allowed to set fires, but the people are not allowed to light lamps. When your little boyfriends fed you wine, you drank so happily, but you can't drink with me?" Olivia laughed angrily. "Is this comparable?" I curled my lips and said, "Of course I don't have any. I'm a newly rich man, I can do whatever I want." Olivia suddenly asked again, "By the way, do your family know about this?" I paused and exclaimed, "Fuck. I forgot about that." Before I could say anything, Olivia looked as if she had seen through everything. "I knew you wouldn't dare to say it. It's not that he doesn't want to, it's that he doesn't dare." The original owner didn't have a very good relationship with his family. His parents were stubborn and old-fashioned, favoring his younger brother, and he was rebellious. In order to marry Sophia, he had a lot of unpleasantness with his family. Later, when Sophia became successful, his family's attitude changed 180 degrees, and they repeatedly blamed him for the conflicts between him and Sophia. Anyway, this vicious male supporting role didn't have an easy life in the past. However, since I have the divorce certificate in my hand, I have nothing to be afraid of. The days that followed were happier than I had imagined. I asked my aunt to pack up all of Sophia's things and send them away. This villa was originally bought by the original owner's parents as their wedding house, but Sophia doesn't like to spend the night here. Maybe every place here reminds her of the humiliation James once brought her. At first, she mostly lived in the company, and then when her career took off, she bought an apartment near the company. The original owner went there once, and happened to run into David there. Can you imagine how embarrassing it was? Although David immediately explained that he was just taking shelter there temporarily because of the rain, with James' temper, how could he not be angry? He and Sophia had a big fight that time and were in a cold war for a month. Later, James couldn't stand it anymore and took the initiative to give in and compromise. Who made him only have Sophia in his eyes and heart? Well, now this big luxurious 3-story villa is all mine. Sophia didn't have much stuff here, but after cleaning, I still felt a little empty. So I immediately went shopping, and then I started a shopping spree in my favorite stores. This one, and this one, please pack the rest for me. Okay, Mr. James. The store manager's face was full of smiles. She was very happy, and so was I. Several salesgirls and salesmen followed behind me to help me carry my things. I didn't expect to run into Sophia as soon as I went out. She was stunned when she saw me. But I saw David following behind her. It seemed that his leg injury had almost healed and he could even go shopping in the mall. Sophia's lips moved, and she actually took the initiative to speak. His mother's birthday is coming soon, so I'll send him to pick a gift. I blinked and asked in confusion, oh, why are you telling me this? I don't care. Out of politeness, I nodded politely. However, before I could take a step forward to say goodbye, David spoke up. He looked a little apologetic and said, Mr. James, I'm sorry. My legs are not very convenient, so I asked Sophia to help me get here. I see you bought a lot of things. Are they difficult to carry? How about letting Sophia take you? I can do it alone. Listen to what the art of speaking is. He reminded Sophia that I pushed him, hinted that I should not be jealous, and generously gave Sophia to me. I smiled and said, no, my car is downstairs. Besides, it's better not to trouble Ms. Sophia for such a private matter. David was stunned. What? I was also surprised, and looked at Sophia and asked, Ms. Sophia, you haven't told Mr. David that we are divorced yet? The atmosphere is now dead silent. David looked at Sophia in surprise. Sophia's pretty face was tense and looked unhappy. Sophia responded calmly, I don't like to publicize private matters. So Sophia said I like to publicize it everywhere. I just held a few parties to celebrate my divorce. Why be so stingy? David didn't seem to expect to get such a bombshell. He opened his mouth and asked, Sophia, you and Mr. James have already. Why didn't you tell me? Hearing his voice, Sophia seemed to remember that there was someone like him next to her. Her red lips moved slightly, and after a pause, she whispered, I've been too busy lately. TSK, she used to like to use this sentence to fool James, but she didn't expect that things would change and David would get the same treatment. But the male lead and the male supporting role are different after all. This sentence is great news to David. His eyes moved around Sophia and me for a few times, and he said apologetically, I'm sorry, I didn't know before, and I didn't mean to mention it. Mr. James, you don't mind, do you? Of course I don't mind, she's just a woman who has nothing to do with me. I nodded and responded perfunctorily, well, you guys go shopping first. My assistant will help me carry my things. They are quite heavy. I'll leave first. Just as she took a step forward, Sophia suddenly said, wait. I turned around, looked at her in confusion, and asked, Miss Sophia, is there anything else? Sophia frowned, as if she was not used to my sudden change in attitude towards her. Mom said yesterday that you haven't visited her for a long time. Sophia lowered her voice, as if it was difficult to speak, but she had to do it. If you have time, go see her. She was talking about her mother who had uremia. Unlike Sophia, her mother had always liked James because Sophia had never told her that she was forced to marry James. In the old woman's mind, James, the young master, did not despise Sophia's family conditions and was devoted to Sophia. Of course, she liked James no matter how she looked at him. In the early days of their marriage, in order to please Sophia, James insisted on taking the initiative to take care of her mother and win the favor of the old lady. He knew that this was his last bargaining chip, and Sophia was filial, and even for this reason, she would not easily quarrel with him. But James laid hands on David and crossed her bottom line, so he lost his last trump card. I thought about it and agreed. I nodded and said, okay, let's do it tomorrow. After all, the old man did nothing wrong. Sophia's expression relaxed, and she replied naturally, then I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. I smiled at her, shook the car keys, and then said, no need. I have hands and feet and can move around easily. I can drive there myself. I won't trouble Ms. Sophia. Sophia and David's expressions froze at the same time. The next morning, I set out for the sanatorium. This high-end sanatorium is located in the suburbs, with complete facilities and good services, but of course, the price is also very expensive. Mr. James, you are here. The nurse greeted me politely when she saw me. This was Mia, the nurse hired by Sophia. She knew that Sophia and I had a bad relationship, so she was also very distant to me. Sophia's mother was lying in bed. Years of suffering from uremia had made her thin and weak, but fortunately, she had been in a nursing home for the past few years and was in much better shape than before. Mia's eyes stayed on the food box in my hand for a moment, and she curled her lips with a bit of contempt. Even a nurse looked down on my way of showing courtesy, because she knew that no matter what I did, it would only cause Sophia's disgust. James. Sophia's mother saw me and smiled kindly. Are you busy recently? I haven't seen you for a while. I sighed in my heart. James was just using her from the beginning to the end, but she took it seriously. The old man did nothing wrong. I said gently, yes, a little bit. I brought you some chicken soup. Please try it later. Sophia's mother held my hand, looked at me for a long time, and asked carefully, did Sophia make you angry again? I shook my head, but Sophia's mother didn't believe me. She sighed helplessly. Sophia has been stubborn since she was a child, and she likes to keep things to herself. If she makes you unhappy, tell me and I'll talk to her for you. I felt even more guilty. I had originally planned to tell her about the divorce, but now it was stuck in my throat and I couldn't say the words. I had dinner with Sophia's mother and talked to her for a while. Before leaving, I hesitated for a long time, but finally said, I will be busy for a while, so I'm afraid I can't come to accompany you often. I plan to reduce the frequency first, and then find a suitable time to tell her, which should be much better. It's impossible to keep it a secret forever. Even if I want to, Sophia won't agree. If I come too often, she will probably think I'm still having evil intentions towards her. Sophia's mother patted my hands and sighed, James, you are a good child. Sophia was wrong about what happened before. Although she never mentioned it to me, I know she feels very guilty and regretful. She loved you so much. How could she not feel sad when she lost her child? My heart skipped a beat. Child? Yes, this was the fuse that led to the complete collapse of James and Sophia's relationship. Yes, James and Sophia actually had a child before, and he got this child by using all means when Sophia got drunk at a social event. In short, this child was not obtained in a fair and just way. But in James' eyes, this is the most powerful weapon to tie Sophia to his side. After finding out she was pregnant, Sophia felt guilty towards her first love David, but couldn't bear to give up her blood. In the end, she chose the child. Her childhood was hard enough, so she didn't want her child to be born into a broken family. During that period, her relationship with James was the best. She would obediently eat the nutritional supplements James bought for her, and would also read various child-rearing guides. She really wanted to be a good mother. That's why Sophia broke up with him completely after her miscarriage. This is a very strange thing. After Sophia became pregnant, James felt that her attitude had improved, and he became more and more demanding, wishing that she would stay by his side all the time. Every time Sophia refused, he would use the excuse of prenatal education and cultivating parent-child relationship to induce Sophia to compromise. After so many times, Sophia became impatient. Once, Sophia was going on a business trip, and David was also traveling with her. James said he would not agree to it no matter what, and asked her to find someone else to go, so that he could stay at home and concentrate on taking care of the baby. Sophia felt that he was interfering with her freedom and was suspicious and overbearing, and they had a big fight. James, can you please be a little more normal and stop thinking that everyone else is as dirty as you? After saying this, Sophia slammed the door and walked out. As a result, that night, James received the news that Sophia had miscarried because of her anger. As you can imagine, once this happened, the relationship between the two collapsed and everything turned upside down. If Sophia hated James before this, then she hated him after this. She never stepped into her in James's wedding room again, and she never had any contact with James again, until James went to find David and pushed him down the stairs. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. Well, otherwise it would be said that the original owner was crazy, and when he got cruel, he would not even let himself go. I was silent for a while, then said, "It's all over. The original James is dead. These things are over now." When I came out of the nursing home, I felt a little depressed, not sure if it was for Sophia's mother or for the original James. Then this emotion reached its peak when I accidentally lost my car keys. I called Olivia desperately, "Pick me up, come quickly." Olivia thought this was outrageous and said angrily, "I'm not your driver. Do I have to obey your orders at any time? It's not like I'm not paying," I said. Olivia was speechless. This nursing home is quite remote, and it is not convenient to take a taxi. Then Olivia came here resignedly. When I got home, it was already dark. More importantly, it was raining heavily. Looking at the huge rain outside, I took Olivia in out of mercy and gave her the guest room on the second floor to sleep in. Unexpectedly, someone rang the doorbell early the next morning. Help! It's too early to call for help. I half opened my eyes and dazedly went to open the door. Who? Why are you here? The person standing outside the door was actually Sophia. Just as she was about to speak, footsteps were heard on the stairs. Olivia's voice was obviously unhappy about being woken up. "Who is it?" Sophia's face turned cold instantly, and every word seemed to be squeezed out from between her teeth. "It seems that I came at the wrong time. Sorry to bother you." I rolled my eyes in my heart and said in a bad tone, "You also know that you are disturbing people's sleep. Besides, why are you so scornful? This is my home, okay? You are just an ex-wife. What right do you have to be angry? Who are you showing such a cuckolded expression to? You have been cheating on me for so long, and I have let it go." I turned back to Olivia and said, "It's nothing, go back to sleep." Olivia is a princess with a complex. After all, she was trapped here in the heavy rain because of me. I can't even guarantee her a good night's sleep. Olivia seemed to be much more awake when she saw Sophia. She smiled lazily and said, "We have guests. It would be rude for me to go back to sleep. James, this is your fault. Why don't you invite them in to sit down? See, I told you that this woman would go crazy if she didn't sleep well." I didn't bother to pay attention to her, and looked at Sophia again, not intending to let her in. I just cleaned up her things, and I didn't want to dirty the house again, and then trouble Auntie to clean it again. "Miss Sophia, why are you here so early?" I asked. Sophia's face turned pale, and it was obvious that Olivia's few words had successfully touched her minefield. But she couldn't get angry yet. If it were before, she could just act like a hostess and ask Olivia to get out, but now, she was worse than Olivia and couldn't even get through the door. But these women are very tolerant, and Sophia is no exception. She took a deep breath, and without looking at Olivia again, she took out a key from her pocket and handed it to her. "You forgot it at Mom's place yesterday, and she urged me to bring it to you." The implication was that she came here purely on her mother's request. "Oh, thank you." I took the key. "Actually, there's no need to trouble you to make this trip. I have a spare key." Sophia was speechless for a moment. I waited for a few seconds, but I lost my patience and politely reminded her, "Miss Sophia, do you have anything else to say?" If Sophia didn't understand the meaning of this expulsion, she would have gotten to this position in vain. She pursed her red lips and said, "No." Bang, I closed the door directly. Olivia stood on the stairs and looked at me. I asked curiously, "Why are you looking at me like this when you don't want to go back to sleep?" Olivia narrowed her eyes slightly, crossed her arms, and said, "Nothing, I just feel that you seem a little ruthless to your ex-wife." I was speechless. "If you have nothing to say, you don't have to say anything." Olivia raised her chin. "James, don't tell me you can't see what she's thinking." I asked back, "What's on your mind?" Olivia leaned back and said lazily, "She wants to see you, doesn't she? Otherwise, she would never come here so early in the morning just to give you a car key, and she wouldn't look so upset when she saw me in this house." I tilted my head and asked, "And then?" Olivia tapped the railing with her fingers and said casually, "You don't feel anything at all? What's the feeling?" She turned her head and I rushed to her. I thought it was a little funny, and responded with a disdainful smile, "I have a feeling." Olivia looked over, her eyes moved slightly, and her back seemed to straighten a little. I shrugged and continued, "I feel like it's too late to get a divorce. If I had known what kind of person she was, I should have given up on her sooner. It wasted so much of my time." Olivia didn't seem to expect me to say this. After staring at me for a while, she suddenly tilted her head and smiled, "Okay, James, you finally made some progress." I was so inspired that I couldn't help but compliment him back. No, I'm far behind you. This guy is the one who can walk through a thicket of grass without getting a single leaf on him." Olivia explained helplessly, "I've told you so many times, I have nothing to do with those men." I understand. Miss, you are just flirting with them. You haven't met your Mr. Right yet. Isn't that how it is in novels? A domineering daughter will always meet her destined true love and repay the debt of love she owed many times over. Olivia looked at me speechlessly and said, "I knew I couldn't communicate with a fool like you." Then she went back to sleep. I slept until the afternoon and was awakened by hunger. When I woke up, I found a bunch of missed calls and WeChat messages on my phone, all from the original owner's parents. After flipping through the emails for a while, I knew why they contacted me out of the blue. They knew about my divorce with Sophia. "You and Sophia are divorced? What are you thinking? I've told you so many times that Sophia's company is developing rapidly and we are discussing cooperation with her. What should we do? You are so old, why are you still so willful? You just want to divorce me. Don't you consider other people at all? You are too selfish. I don't want a son like you." Anyway, it was the same old story over and over again, so I stopped reading after a while. I went out to look for food. It smells so good. I stared in amazement at the sumptuous meal on the table and Olivia, who was leisurely enjoying the food. I said aggrievedly, "Olivia, do you still have a conscience? Why do you eat alone?" Olivia raised her eyelids and said innocently, "Do I have to starve for you?" Very good, very convincing, and irrefutable. I went straight over and took my favorite fish-flavored pork shreds with chopsticks. Apart from anything else, Olivia is really good at eating. The private dishes she ordered for takeout are always better than those ordered by others. "By the way, your parents called me and said they wanted to talk to you about something, but you didn't answer," Olivia suddenly said. I took another piece of stewed pork ribs and responded vaguely, "I know." Olivia paused with her chopsticks, glanced at my phone, and asked softly, "How about I step aside first?" I waved my hands and said, "No need, let them say what they want." Anyway, the deed has been done, and they can't do anything to me. As I was speaking, the phone rang again and I answered it. Before I could even open my mouth to say anything, the person on the other end started yelling, "James, go find Sophia right now and tell her you were wrong, that you were just acting on impulse, and beg her to remarry you." I listened to the sharp female voice, held the phone a little further away, curled my lips and said, "Remarry? You dare to think about it. I know which is more serious, getting scolded or dying in Sophia's hands." An irritable voice rang out on the phone, James, are you listening to me?" I responded, "I'm listening, but this is a difficult thing to do. I can't do it anyway." The other party was even more angry. "James, is this the attitude you should have towards your parents?" I said, "Didn't you say before that you didn't have a son like me? Have you forgotten?" The other party was speechless for a moment. She seemed to want to scold me again, but I was too lazy to listen. Anyway, I had made my words very clear, and I was busy, so we could talk another day. After saying that, I hung up the phone and blocked the person. Olivia was completely speechless after witnessing the series of smooth operations. She simply put down her chopsticks, looked me up and down for a long time, and said in surprise, "Great, James, not only did you dump your ex-wife, but you even dared to fight against your parents." I still had meat in my mouth and answered her vaguely, "Where there is oppression, there is resistance." Olivia snorted and laughed, leaning forward slightly, holding her chin with one hand, and curling her red lips slightly. "So, maybe one day, it will be my turn?" I gave her a thumbs up, praising her self-awareness. I was not surprised by her reaction. She grew up with the original owner and knew very well what kind of temper and personality the original James had. In her opinion, what I did now could probably be summed up in one sentence: I'm crazy. But then again, whoever gets into these kinds of shit would go crazy. I'm a supporting actor, and I don't have the aura of the male lead, so I should run away as soon as possible to save my life. "By the way, can you help me look at the new house?" I said, "Although this one is not bad, it is inevitable to be disturbed occasionally, which is annoying. Not only Sophia, but also the original owner's family, they are all troublemakers. Today I have completely broken up with them. Who knows if they will come to my house to cause trouble. I am not interested in dealing with them." Olivia understood. "Okay, leave it to me." Olivia is indeed a qualified third-generation rich. Although she spends most of her time eating, drinking, and having fun, she is really reliable when she is really needed. The next day, Olivia called me and said she had picked out a villa in the west of the city. The original owner of this house went abroad and is in a hurry to sell it. The house has just been renovated and has never been lived in. "I'm giving you a bargain." I was very satisfied with Olivia's efficiency. I took her to sign the contract with the owner that day and transferred the property as quickly as possible. Then I put the previous house up for sale. I called a moving company, and a group of movers were busy upstairs and downstairs. I was speechless watching from the side. I had no idea how much they packed up. The original owner had so many things. Shouldn't I pay them for the work? "Mr. James, what's in this box?" "It's quite heavy." A worker carried out a large cardboard box from the third floor. The box was sealed tightly and it was impossible to tell what was inside from the outside. I was just about to go over and take a look when I received a phone call. "Hello, is this Mr. James? This is the Third People's Hospital. Your wife suddenly fainted on the road and was sent to the hospital. Can you come over quickly?" I was stunned. Sophia fainted and was sent to the hospital? "You must be mistaken, I am not her husband." I explained. The voice on the other end said in surprise, "But the notes on the patient's phone." "Oh, I remember, when Sophia was pregnant, James insisted on changing the note on her phone to James, the baby's daddy. Sophia couldn't get in to change it, so she just let him do it. I didn't expect that after a divorce for a while, she actually forgot to change it." I asked in confusion, "How is she?" The person on the other end of the phone continued, "The patient probably fainted due to hypoglycemia. Her life is not in danger, but her overall condition is not good. You should go to bed early." I thought about it and replied, "I see, but I'm a little busy right now. How about this, you call his current boyfriend, David? His number should be in the list. If you have anything to do later, just contact him directly." After I hung up the phone, I saw a lot more boxes in the living room. How long will it take to pack this up? Let's move them all out first. I'll sort them out later when I have time. Fortunately, the new house is big enough, so I asked my aunt to help me sort out my things, and then I went out to play several games and check in at a newly opened internet-famous barbecue restaurant. The food tasted good, and the decoration was a big plus. I couldn't help but take several photos, and then posted them on WeChat Moments. Check in, today is also a day for muscle gain. I also included a handsome selfie in the middle. Friends gave likes one after another, and even Olivia, who was usually too lazy to post on WeChat moments, commented, "This one is good." I replied, "Have you eaten it?" Olivia replied, "Of course, I own this store." Speechless, and you managed to pretend successfully. However, what I didn't expect was that David actually commented on me, in a tone that was polite on the surface, but also questioning and coercing. "James, although you have divorced Sophia, Sophia is lying in the hospital now, and you don't even want to take a look at her. Is that appropriate?" I was dumbfounded. "What serious illness do you have?" As soon as he made this comment, his circle of friends went wild. Only a few people knew about my divorce with Sophia, and I hadn't even thought of the divorce papers yet, but he took the moral high ground first. I also replied casually, "A qualified ex should be as if dead." "I am afraid you will misunderstand me. If you don't mind, I will go. After all, we are classmates, so it is reasonable to visit. What do you think?" The circle of friends was boiling with excitement and outrage. Then, a short while later, David deleted the comment himself. "Yo, can you just delete it and pretend nothing happened?" I immediately asked for advice in the following thread: "Everyone in the circle of friends, please tell me what gifts are appropriate to bring when visiting my ex-wife and her current partner. Please, this is really important to me." An hour later, I went to the hospital with the fruit. Unexpectedly, as soon as I arrived outside the ward, I heard David's distressed voice, "Sophia, don't be angry, I know it was me who did it this time. It's not right, but I'm doing this for you." Sophia didn't respond. David seemed angry and aggrieved. "You fainted, and the hospital even called him, but he refused to even come to see you. If anything happens to you today, it will seem like I made a huge mistake." Sophia's tired voice finally came, "I'm a little tired and want to be alone." After a while, I heard the sound of a chair moving inside the house, and David came to the door. As soon as he opened the door and saw me, he froze in shock. Sophia noticed something was wrong and turned to look over. Her face was very pale, without the aura of the vigorous and decisive female CEO in the past. Lying on the hospital bed with an 4 drip, she looked unusually weak. When she saw me, her originally gloomy eyes brightened up, and she seemed nervous and at a loss. "James, why are you here?" I stepped past David and went in. "You're afraid of being criticized for not caring about your ex-wife's life or death just after the divorce. After all, we were college classmates. There's no need to make things so awkward, right?" Sophia's face turned pale and her lips were tight. She must have seen David and I fighting in the circle of friends. How could she tolerate being ridiculed in public like this? It was a shame. I guess her hatred for me increased. The thought of this made me annoyed. "Okay, now that I'm here, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first." Sophia twitched her lips and said, "James, do you really have to do this?" I raised my eyebrows and asked sincerely, "What? You came to see me 3 days after I had the car accident. Compared to you, I am quite nice, right? Speaking of ruthlessness, who can compare to you, the heroine?" Sophia's face turned pale instantly, and she opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something. My cell phone suddenly rang. It was my aunt at home calling. "Mr. James, most of your things have been sorted, but there is still one box left. It contains some ceramics. What do you think is the best way to deal with it?" I was stunned. "Ceramic?" "Yes, and it looks like you did it yourself, so I thought I'd ask you." I caught Sophia's equally dazed look from the corner of my eye, and a light flashed in my mind. "Oh, I remember now. These ceramics were indeed made by the original owner. When Sophia was in college, she worked in a pottery shop. James wanted to pursue her at that time, so he would go there every now and then and stay for the whole afternoon. He didn't have the talent or patience. He only had Sophia in his heart and eyes, so he always got dirty and took away an ugly finished product. He enjoyed it and didn't feel ashamed at all. Later, Sophia couldn't stand it anymore and told him that what he did was wrong. James immediately seized the opportunity and said, "Then you teach me yourself." Of course Sophia didn't want to, but James was generous and he was a VIP customer of the store, so she couldn't offend him. It was not until Sophia resigned that James stopped. That's how he collected that box of artworks. "It's not something important, just throw it away," I said indifferently. "Wait." Sophia suddenly said, "You moved?" I have to say that this woman's IQ is sometimes online. I nodded, yes. Sophia frowned and asked, "Where did you move to? Why so suddenly?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Miss Sophia, how many times do I have to remind you that we are divorced? What I do or where I live is none of your business." Sophia suddenly choked up, as if she had heard something unacceptable, and her eyes were slightly red. After a long while, she finally gave in and whispered, "If you don't want those ceramics, I'll have someone take them away." I looked at her strangely and said, "It's mine in the first place." I can take it if I want it and throw it away if I want. I don't know how this sentence touched Sophia's pain point. The last bit of light in her eyes suddenly disappeared, like a weak flame in the wind, finally blown away. David walked over quickly with concern and said gently, "Sophia, how are you?" Sophia tilted her head slightly to avoid his hand. David froze in place, feeling very awkward. But I had no interest in this drama, so I turned around and was about to leave. Unexpectedly, as soon as I walked out the door, a doctor called out to me, "Huh?" I looked up and saw a female doctor in her 40s looking at me and asked in confusion, "Why are you here? Are you feeling unwell?" I was a little confused, and then I saw the label on her chest, Chief Physician of Obstetrics. A guess came to my mind that the only thing that could have connected James with this person was the child. "Thank you for your concern, but I'm fine. I'm here to see a friend today," I responded vaguely. She seemed relieved. "That's good, but you and your wife are old enough, you can't give up having children next time." I was stunned. These two short sentences contained so much information. Child? Child? Didn't Sophia have an accidental miscarriage? How can the doctor say that? By the way, that night, when James rushed to the hospital, Sophia had already been pushed out of the operating room, and David was guarding her bedside. "Sophia, what are you doing?" Just when I was confused, I heard David's exclamation from behind. I turned around and saw Sophia pulled out the needle by herself, pushed David away, and walked over quickly. She rushed directly in front of me, stopped the female doctor, and said in a tense tone, "Doctor, this is a matter between us and our husband. It has nothing to do with you." I felt cold all over, and turned my neck stiffly to look at Sophia. For the first time, I felt that this beautiful face was so unfamiliar. I asked in confusion, "Sophia, what does this mean?" The doctor's brows gradually frowned. "You didn't know? Your wife said that you are now focusing on your career and don't want to have children for the time being, so you chose to have an abortion. How could you not know about this?" I can't remember how I got home because I was completely shocked by the sudden news. I sat in the study for a long time, closed my eyes, and muttered to myself in confusion, how could it be? The book clearly said that James got jealous and had a big fight with Sophia, which led to her miscarriage. How could it be? I don't know why, but when I think about this, I feel like some part of my body is hurting as well, as if I can truly feel the despair and pain he felt when he found out that his child was gone. This made me feel even more uncomfortable, and I shook my head, trying to get rid of these emotions. The aunt had just tidied up the study room. I rummaged through it and found a box specifically used to store college things. Finally, at the bottom, I found a yearbook from college. The matter of miscarriage deviates from the novel, so is it possible that it is also different in other places? The first page showed a photo of a military training. The sun was blazing, and the boy in the military green training uniform was smiling brightly. Behind him, on the podium, stood a slender figure. Although it was a bit far away, anyone with a discerning eye could still tell at a glance that it was Sophia in college. The following lines of small text read, "On the first day of military training, a girl next to me got heatstroke. I carried her to the infirmary on my back. She was so light. I didn't expect to see her giving a speech on behalf of the freshmen at the performance today. It turns out her name is Sophia. It's normal to secretly take pictures of someone you like in the name of a selfie. This should be when he just fell in love with Sophia. I want to laugh a little bit. James fell in love with Sophia in such a simple and cliched way at first sight. I couldn't help but touch my face. The James in the book was selfish, willful, and extremely paranoid, which seemed a little different from the one with a bright smile. It was hard to imagine that a boy with stars in his eyes would eventually become such a suspicious, overbearing, paranoid, and selfish person. I continued to flip through the pages and found that every photo was related to Sophia. She was in class in the lecture hall, she was swinging her racket on the badminton court with her long hair flying, she was eating alone in the cafeteria, she was working hard in the pottery shop. Occasionally, next to these photos, there are a few words written. The classes she chose are so boring, ugh, I can't understand them. How can a girl be so good at studying and playing basketball? She always seems to eat alone, and she always gets the cheapest food in the cafeteria. Is she full? She always seems to be busy. She doesn't even have time to talk to me. This turned out to be a yearbook of James' secret crush on Sophia. During his 4 years at university, he took many photos of her, and every picture in every sentence was completely different from the James in the book. She seems to have someone she likes, but that person is not me. What should I do? Or I should just give up. The graduation ceremony is tomorrow. Why don't I confess to her and say goodbye to this secret love? She suddenly passed away in the middle of taking graduation photos. I secretly followed her and found out that her mother's condition worsened and she needed a lot of money. What should she do? This page was supposed to contain graduation photos, but it was blank because Sophia and James also missed their graduation photos. My hands began to tremble slightly. I don't know why, but I felt that the book was so heavy that I couldn't continue reading. It seemed that if I continued reading, something uncontrollable would happen. It felt like a stone was pressing on my chest, and I couldn't breathe in or out. I don't know what force drove me, but I continued to flip backwards. It was a wedding photo, no, to be more precise, it was a photo for ID, the photo on the marriage certificate. James still had a smile on his face, but it looked much more reserved than at the beginning, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and his body slightly leaning towards Sophia next to him. Sophia's expression was calm, which was out of tune with the festive red background. Then I remembered that they didn't seem to have any wedding photos. After a year of repeated struggles, Sophia finally chose to marry James. She did not marry the person she loved the most, and of course she had no interest in these tedious matters. In addition, her mother was always in the hospital at the time, so the two did not hold a wedding ceremony or take wedding photos. They simply got a marriage certificate and considered it a marriage. I thought James would write a lot of words on this page, on this day when he was finally together with Sophia, but in fact, there were no words on this page. I stared at the photo for a long time, feeling inexplicably upset. After 5 years of secret love and 5 years of marriage, they only had this one photo together. I suppressed my thoughts and continued to flip through the pages, but found that there were no more photos of Sophia, only the occasional words, "She seems to be very busy recently. The company has just started, and she has to be responsible for everything personally. It's so hard." I made her favorite sweet and sour pork ribs, but she came back from a social event and smelled of alcohol, and fell asleep on the bed. She bought an apartment near the company, saying it was for easy commuting, but why was that man there? I know I can't compare to his position in her heart, but I still want to have a child that belongs to us. Am I hopeless? I went to the nursing home again today, and happened to run into Olivia accompanying her old man out of the hospital. She said I was stupid, and a woman like Sophia, this method would never work on her. I turned around and left on the spot because I also knew she was telling the truth. I was about to give up, but she came back at night. I don't know if it was because the social event didn't go well, but she was so drunk, I still couldn't help but kiss her, and she kissed me back for the first time. There was a blank in the middle until a certain page, "She seems to be pregnant." I continued to look back, and those 2 months were indeed the best time for James and Sophia's relationship. Even though he knew that Sophia's transformation was only because of the child, he had no other desire. Many years ago, he had fallen in love with this person so deeply that he once thought that this was the light in his life and he wanted to draw warmth and favor from her. But it was wrong from the very beginning, and all these seemingly beautiful illusions were finally ruthlessly shattered. The last page was a torn abortion consent form with Sophia's signature on the lower right corner. It was like a sudden strike of thunder, with a stinging pain. My whole body was numb and my limbs were cold. Countless images flashed back in my mind, surging wildly, as if they were going to swallow me up. I was like a dying fish before a heavy rain, trying to come out of the water to breathe, but was swept away by the stronger wind and waves, unable to breathe or move. I finally remembered that I did not travel through time to a fictional world, I am the real James. The phone rang suddenly, which was particularly harsh in the quiet study. I came to my senses and found that it was Olivia calling. I clicked the connection button, but before I could say anything, Olivia asked directly, "Did you go to the hospital to see Sophia today?" She was on a business trip in the afternoon, so she shouldn't have known about the situation on my side. Although I posted that comment on WeChat Moments, it seemed that she shouldn't have known it so well, even knowing the time. Yes. I didn't deny it. How did you know? Olivia paused and said, "Sophia called me and asked me something about you." Oh, I see. I nodded and didn't intend to ask further. Hearing my calm tone, Olivia seemed to realize that something was wrong. "It's so late, why haven't you slept yet?" She softened her tone and changed the subject. I was about to speak when I heard the doorbell. The person who came was actually Sophia. I hung up the phone with Olivia, went downstairs and opened the door, but didn't let her in. It was completely dark outside. The street lights behind her cast a clear light, making her face half bright and half dark. "What's the matter?" I asked. Sophia said with pale lips, I want to come and apologize to you. It's been 3 hours since I left the hospital, and she just remembered to say these words? No need. I said calmly, "It's all over, it's too late, I don't need this apology anymore." Sophia's face turned even paler, and she said anxiously, James, please listen to my explanation." "I can explain it. I was really impulsive that day, so. Was it a momentary impulse or a long-planned plan?" I asked softly, being pregnant with my child must be very painful for you, right? Sophia froze for a while, then she closed her eyes and said word by word, I really didn't want this child at first, but then, as the baby grew up day by day, I really was confused at the time, and I regret it. I smiled bitterly and said, don't you think it's too late to regret now? Sophia's eyes were filled with regret, her shoulders were shaking and she couldn't speak. The corners of my lips curled up slightly, and I said self-deprecatingly, if you let me think that you had an accidental miscarriage because of me, I must regret it so much that I can no longer use the child to argue with you. I will let you go free from now on, right? Sophia was suddenly stunned. In her subconscious, she believed that I was such a selfish, paranoid, and jealous man. As long as there was no child, I would have no reason to restrain her and pester her. She opened her mouth, and seemed to have difficulty in asking every word, but this is a matter between the two of us. Why did you suddenly fight with David that day? I looked at her quietly. This woman was the one I had liked for 10 years, but at this moment, she was still thinking about another man. I smiled, there's no reason, I just can't stand him, he deserves it. But the child is gone, and we're divorced, Sophia, you can finally live with him, you should be happy. No. Sophia seemed to be suddenly stimulated by something, and stepped forward to grab my wrist. I don't love him, James, please don't talk to me in this tone, okay, I frowned and was about to push her away when a chuckle suddenly came from behind. Oh, it seems I came at the wrong time. Sophia suddenly froze, and then I saw who it was, Olivia, who was supposed to be on a business trip. She lifted the hair beside her ear, and said with cold eyes, Sophia, didn't I tell you that it was you who wanted to get a divorce, so don't bother him anymore. Sophia bit her lip, looking at her with hostility, and said in a cold tone, when will it be your turn as an outsider to intervene in the affairs between James and me? Olivia raised her eyebrows slightly, walked over to me in high heels, stood beside me, and took my arm. My heart skipped a beat. Olivia? Olivia tilted her head and asked with a charming and innocent smile, why, do you want to go back to your ex? My mind was a little confused, so I shook my head and said, I don't have such plans. But why did you come back suddenly? Olivia raised her chin and said proudly, why don't you come back and see her harassing you here? Sophia stared at Olivia's hand in mine, her eyes slightly red. Sophia looked at Olivia and said disdainfully, don't make yourself sound so great. You know what dirty thoughts you have. Olivia smiled. She turned around and said with a smile, oh, since Miss Sophia is very observant, please tell me, Miss Sophia, what exactly am I thinking? Sophia refused to speak again, her lips tightly pursed. Olivia sneered, why, Miss Sophia won't tell me? Then let me tell you, I'm just waiting for you to get divorced so I can pursue him. This opportunity is hard to come by, so of course I have to pay close attention and seize it. The night wind carried her voice, every word, hitting my eardrums and my chest rumbling silently. Olivia continued, as for you, Sophia, if you had eyes and a conscience, you would never ask those questions. You don't really think that anyone will always forgive you and give you a chance, do you? Sophia's face suddenly turned pale, and her body swayed, as if she would fall down at any moment. She murmured, her voice broken, I really didn't mean it. Olivia seemed too lazy to listen and interrupted her directly, her voice a few degrees colder. I said, he finally forgot those things and was ready to start a new life. Do you have to mention it again? I suddenly looked at Olivia. What she said didn't sound right to me. Could it be that she had noticed something? But Olivia didn't notice my reaction and just said calmly, go away and don't come again. Sophia almost fell down, her eyes seemed to have lost focus and she was in a daze. I didn't want to watch anymore, so I said to her, okay, all you want to ask are the 2 questions I just asked. I've already answered them. From today on, you and I have nothing to do with each other anymore. I turned around and left. Suddenly, a muffled voice came from behind, and Sophia knelt down like that, James. Her voice couldn't help but tremble. I know I was wrong, it's all my fault, give me another chance, let's start over, okay? Olivia's first reaction was to turn her head and look at me. Her usual arrogant and domineering aura disappeared, and her beautiful and bright eyes were fixed on me. Olivia's hands hanging at her side tightened secretly, her face was tense, and she was very nervous. Sophia was waiting for my answer, and so was she. I turned around and looked at Sophia quietly, and said calmly, Sophia, after 5 years of marriage, I don't please you like David does. Instead, I only bring you troubles, and even want to monopolize you. I am so ignorant. Is this what you think in your heart? Sophia turned pale, and I added softly, even this marriage itself was forced by me. If it weren't for your mother, you wouldn't be with me at all, and you wouldn't have so much entanglement with me. This is your evaluation of this marriage, Sophia, and this is what you told me before the car accident, isn't it? Sophia looked extremely annoyed and said in panic, I I just said those things on impulse that day. I was just too angry at the time. I didn't. It was Sophia's words that made me completely understand how ridiculous, hateful, and detestable I was in her eyes. After losing my child, I was disheartened and began to reflect on whether I should let Sophia go free. A man like me was not worthy of being with her. So later David asked me to meet him, and I agreed. I also wanted to find an opportunity to talk things over with this man who had been entangled in my marriage with Sophia. But I didn't have time to ask my question that day because David gave me the abortion consent form. David looked at me arrogantly and said, "James, you don't really think that you can win Sophia's heart with a child, do you? In fact, I was beside you when you called, and I heard it. I advised her to listen to you and stay at home instead of going on business trips, but do you know what she said? She said that you just want to tie her down with the child, which is too annoying. You have liked Sophia since freshman year, right? Oh, yes, it seems that it was because she fainted during military training and you sent her to the infirmary. It is a good thing to help others, but you shouldn't make someone commit themselves to you just because of such a small thing, right? James, don't be silly. You are always like this, and Sophia is very annoyed. She also feels disgusted when she has your child." I didn't expect David to fall down the stairs on purpose, nor did I expect Sophia to appear at that exact moment. She didn't bother to listen to my explanation, and kept crying beside David, extremely nervous and worried, and never gave me a glance from beginning to end. Later, I finally waited until Sophia had time. I wanted to go to her to question her about the child, but she blocked me with those words. "James, how long are you going to make this fuss last? Do you know that you make me sick from head to toe?" I walked aimlessly on the street for a long time that day, my mind full of Sophia's disgusting accusations against me. Am I selfish? Am I extreme? Am I hateful? Until the out-of-control car hit me, I fainted on the spot. When I woke up again, I became another me, the me in Sophia's eyes. She built such an illusory world for me, and in this world, I was crazy and selfish, paranoid and absurd, and more importantly, I instinctively no longer loved her. I stared into Sophia's eyes and spoke calmly, "But Sophia, in this world, I no longer love you. It was my love that made you a golden body, and you don't deserve it." When I woke up the next morning, it was already bright. I wandered to the kitchen smelling the aroma of breakfast. Olivia was cooking, and I was shocked. "Ms. Olivia, what day is it today that is worth your trouble?" Olivia raised her chin towards the outside of the yard and responded softly, "It's time for the annoying people to get out. Yesterday, Sophia knelt outside all night, but I didn't care. I dragged Olivia, who wanted to argue, back to the room, closed the door and went to rest. Of course, there are 2 rooms. I sat at the dining table, took a bite of the fried egg toast she made, and said vaguely, "Well, it was also the day when you failed in cooking for the first time, Ms. Olivia." Olivia rushed over and tried to snatch the toast away, and said nervously, "It's burnt, don't eat it, I'll make you another one." I turned away and said calmly, "No, it's such a waste." "It's not like we can't eat it." Olivia asked doubtfully, "Really?" I raised the toast and asked with a cunning look in my eyes, "Try it." Olivia was about to bite me, but I leaned over and kissed her on the corner of her lips. She froze, and her ears turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. "James." I pinched her face with satisfaction and said happily, I heard it. Why are you speaking so loudly? The tone is even higher than the one you used to confess yesterday." Olivia held it in for a long while, and finally threw herself into my arms and said in a muffled voice, "I thought you had forgotten everything. When you just woke up after the car accident, you forgot a lot of things. I almost thought I was going to raise a big fool in the future." I stroked her hair. "How could that be? Even if I forgot myself, I didn't forget you. During that time when I no longer knew myself and no longer believed in myself, I still had no defenses against a person and trusted him completely." Olivia raised her head and smiled with satisfaction. "Finally you were smart for once. It's not in vain that I have liked you for so many years." My heart seemed to be grabbed by something, and I couldn't help but say, "Olivia, how could you be more blind than me to fall in love with someone like me?" She said proudly, "It is obvious that I have better vision and know to wait for someone who is worth waiting for." I laughed too. Yes, you are the best. This is an extra story from Sophia's perspective. This is an exclusive benefit for channel members. Please like and subscribe to show your support. I always run into a boy recently. He is there when I am in class, when I am playing badminton, and when I am working part-time. It seems like a chance encounter, but his methods are too clumsy and he can't act. Everything is written on his face, which is a bit annoying. It's not like I haven't been liked by other boys before, but none of them were as blatant as him. I thought he would give up after a while, but who knew he was so stubborn? I stayed with David on purpose, hoping that he would give up. He was visibly sad. As expected, he didn't show up for a long time. I was relieved, but I felt that people like him would only be enthusiastic for a short time. After all, he was a young master and had never suffered any hardship, unlike people like us. I thought of what David said, and I felt even more upset. I also found a reason to decline David's suggestion that we should be together. I don't have the time and energy to fall in love. I have to take care of my parents and support my family. Fortunately, David has always been understanding and knew my difficulties. He never mentioned it again and instead helped me wholeheartedly. But accidents always come suddenly. My mother's condition worsened and she needed a huge amount of medical expenses. When I thought I was at my wit's end, that boy came again. "What do you want?" I asked. He shook his head. I sneered in my heart, not knowing whether I was laughing at him or at myself. "Then let's be together." I heard my own voice. I knew what he wanted, and he was pretending to be like that. But I had no choice. I needed money, so I had to sell myself. James didn't have a good relationship with his family, so he always liked to stick to me, but I was very busy and didn't have the time. Gradually, he came to me less and less, and I thought he had let it go, but who knew he was going to cause trouble for David? I told James several times, but he always denied it and we always ended up parting on bad terms. He finally stopped and I was relieved, but I saw him chatting with another woman in the nursing home. That was Olivia, whom I knew. She was his childhood sweetheart and came from a similar family background to him. If it weren't for me, they would have been a very compatible couple. I am a woman, I know too well the way she looks at James. James will complain to her, and they will argue with each other, which he never does to me. How could James be like this, saying he likes me but being with another woman? James thought I was drunk that day, but I knew I wasn't. I didn't know where the possessiveness came from and swallowed me up, and even I was caught off guard. After I found out I was pregnant, I felt relieved for some reason. If I had a child, I would have to be with him, right? I don't know how I made up my mind to lie on the operating table. I thought it was a punishment for him, but I was wrong. I was in a lot more pain than I thought. Everything was falling apart and starting to spin out of control. I don't know how I said those words, I might have been crazy. The moment he signed his name on the divorce agreement, I realized that I was really crazy. How could I let him go? I couldn't let him go. But when I came to my senses, it was too late. I fired David and spread the news that he had taken kickbacks and leaked company secrets. He couldn't make it in the industry, begged outside my door for several days, and finally left the city in embarrassment and disappeared. I couldn't bear to change the note on the phone, but one day when I was drunk and called back, I found that the number was no longer in service. Later, I heard that he and Olivia had a grand wedding. I finally realized one thing, I had completely lost him. It was raining heavily outside, and the dampness was everywhere, almost spreading to the bottom of my heart. It's my fault. It's all my fault. I lost him and I lost myself. Sorry. Next time, don't meet me again. Add more and like it, dear. The story is about to begin. It was 3 years later that I saw Sophia again. Sophia whispered, "Mom can't do it anymore. I want to see you." Looking at this haggard, thin woman in front of me, I almost didn't recognize her. This was the once beautiful Sophia. In just 3 years, she looked like she had aged 10 years. I heard that Sophia went through several college classmates to find out my current situation and came to find me. Sophia and I were done with each other, but thinking of the hunched, skinny old man lying on the hospital bed, I finally nodded and said, "Okay, but I have something else to do later, so I probably won't be able to stay for long." Sophia's originally gloomy eyes lit up, as if she didn't expect me to agree so readily. She was a little at a loss for a moment. "No. It's okay, it's great that you are willing to go." Her face was unprecedentedly embarrassed and nervous, and she whispered, "I am very grateful that you are willing to go." I called home and then went with Sophia to visit Sophia's mother. Surprisingly, Sophia's mother was not living in the sanatorium. The car finally stopped at a dilapidated tube building. Oh yes, I heard that Sophia and David had a falling out a few years ago. David, full of hatred, deliberately joined Sophia's rival company and pushed Sophia to collapse step by step. Sophia's company went bankrupt and was insolvent. It seemed that she had borrowed money from classmates everywhere. Later, after many twists and turns, she actually fell to this point. Not only could she not afford the high cost of the sanatorium, but she didn't even have a place to live, so she could only barely rent a place like this. When she arrived at the door, Sophia did not go in immediately. She put her hand on the door, took a deep breath, and finally pushed the door open. Sophia's mother lay on the hospital bed, looking haggard and breathing weakly. "Mom!" Sophia called out. When Sophia's mother heard the voice, she opened her eyes, but slowly turned her head away and closed her eyes again. Sophia walked over and whispered, "Mom, James is here to see you." Sophia's mother froze and looked up tremblingly. "Auntie." I greeted her. Sophia's mother's eyes suddenly turned red, and tears rolled down and fell on the back of her skinny hands. Sophia hurriedly went to wipe her tears, but was pushed away by Sophia's mother. "Get out, I don't have a daughter like you." Sophia was caught off guard and fell to the ground, tears welling up in her eyes. I felt a little embarrassed and didn't know why the relationship between mother and daughter had become like this. I comforted her softly, "Auntie, don't be angry." Sophia's mother's tears fell even harder. She opened her mouth and her voice was choked with sobs. I know everything, James. It's Sophia who let you down. It's our Sophia family who let you down." I was silent for a while and shook my head. "It's all in the past. Everyone has their own life. We should always look forward. What do you think?" Sophia's mother was shaking. She just turned her head and cried, "James, you are a good boy, you don't come here again." Sophia's eyes were red and swollen, and she wanted to take me downstairs. "No need, just take good care of your mother," I responded after looking at my phone. Sophia smiled bitterly. Ever since she knew we were divorced, she has never acknowledged me again. She looks at me every day and is always angry. I didn't have the patience to listen to this and wasn't interested, so I took my car keys and prepared to leave. Sophia hesitated before continuing, "James, is your matter urgent? How about eating or drinking coffee?" I nodded and responded, "It's urgent. Chloe is out of school and I have to pick her up. It's so sad. If I'm late, her mother will punish me by making me stand." Sophia was struck by lightning, her body swayed, her face as pale as paper. What? "Oh, I forgot to tell you, Chloe, my daughter," I smiled. "You haven't seen her. Her eyes are like her mother, her nose and mouth are like me, she is beautiful." Sophia couldn't utter another word. She slumped down on the sofa, slowly covering her face with her hands, and sobbed. I turned and left, and the moment I closed the door, I heard a burst of crying and despair from inside the room. I ignored him, left and ran to the kindergarten. "Dad!" A soft and sweet little ball jumped into my arms. I waved the little guy and said, "Let's go. Mom made delicious food at home today." The little girl wrinkled her nose and said pitifully, "Dad, I want to eat the meal you cook." I scratched her nose and said, "Okay." The missing piece in my heart has already been filled with love, and all the past events have become a cloud of smoke.